Today our topic is the dark side of pleasure, Stoic insights. Life is full of moments that bring us joy, excitement, and satisfaction. We all seek pleasure in different forms: good food, nice clothes, success, relationships, or even the thrill of adventure. But have you ever stopped to think about the cost of these pleasures? The ancient Stoic philosophers did. They believed that while pleasure is not inherently bad, it can become dangerous when we let it control our lives. The Stoics taught us to look deeper, to understand that the pursuit of pleasure often comes with a hidden dark side. Let's explore this idea and see how it can help us live a more balanced and meaningful life. First, let's talk about why pleasure can be so tempting. Pleasure feels good. It's natural to want more of it. When we eat our favorite meal, achieve a goal, or spend time with loved ones, our brains release chemicals that make us feel happy. This is not a bad thing. The problem starts when we begin to rely on these pleasures to define our happiness. The Stoics warned us that chasing pleasure for its own sake can lead to dissatisfaction, addiction, and even suffering. Why? Because pleasure is fleeting. It doesn't last forever. The more we chase it, the more we realize that it never fully satisfies us. We might enjoy a delicious meal, but soon we're hungry again. We might buy a new phone, but soon we want an even better one. This endless cycle of seeking pleasure can leave us feeling empty and unfulfilled. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes from within, not from external things. They taught us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, rather than chasing after things we cannot control, like wealth, fame, or other people's opinions. This doesn't mean we should avoid pleasure altogether. It means we should enjoy it in moderation and not let it dictate our lives. For example, if you love chocolate, there's nothing wrong with enjoying a piece now and then. But if you find yourself eating it every day just to feel happy, you might be falling into the trap of letting pleasure control you. The Stoics would advise you to step back and ask yourself, why do I need this? Am I using it to escape from something? Is this really making me happier in the long run? Another dark side of pleasure is that it can blind us to what truly matters. When we're focused on seeking immediate gratification, we might neglect our long-term goals, our relationships, or our personal growth. Imagine someone who spends all their time partying and having fun. They might feel happy in the moment, but what about their future? What about their health, their career, or their relationships? The Stoics believe that a life well lived is one that balances pleasure with responsibility, self-discipline, and virtue. Virtue, for the Stoics, meant living in accordance with reason, wisdom, courage, and justice. They believed that these qualities are the key to lasting happiness, not fleeting pleasures. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is the idea of negative visualization. This means imagining the worst-case scenario in order to appreciate what we have and prepare ourselves for challenges. For example, if you have a comfortable home, imagine what it would be like to lose it. If you have a loving family, imagine what it would be like to be alone. This might sound depressing, but it's actually a way to cultivate gratitude and resilience. When we take our pleasures for granted, we become attached to them. We start to believe that we need them to be happy. But when we remind ourselves that these things are not permanent, we learn to appreciate them more and worry about them less. This doesn't mean we should live in fear of losing what we have. It means we should enjoy it while it lasts, without becoming dependent on it. The Stoics also warned us about the dangers of excess. Too much of anything, even something good, can become harmful. Think about food. Eating is necessary for survival, and enjoying a meal is one of life's simple pleasures. But if we overeat, it can lead to health problems and discomfort. The same is true for other pleasures. Drinking alcohol in moderation might be enjoyable, but drinking too much can lead to addiction and harm. The Stoics believed in living a life of balance and self-control. They taught us to enjoy the good things in life, but not to let them take over. This is why they valued moderation so highly. It's not about denying yourself pleasure. It's about enjoying it in a way that doesn't harm you or others. Another important Stoic lesson is that pleasure often comes with a price. When we indulge in something pleasurable, we might not realize the consequences until later. For example, staying up late to watch TV might feel good in the moment, but the next day you might feel tired and unproductive. Spending money on things you don't need might give you a temporary thrill, but it could lead to financial stress later on. The Stoics encouraged us to think about the long-term effects of our actions. They believed that true freedom comes from making wise choices, not from giving in to every desire. This is why they emphasized the importance of self-discipline. By practicing self-control, we can avoid the pitfalls of pleasure and make decisions that benefit us in the long run. The Stoics also believed that pleasure can distract us from our purpose. Each of us has a unique role to play in the world, and true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with that purpose. But when we're too focused on seeking pleasure, we might lose sight of what really matters. For example, if your goal is to become a great writer, but you spend all your time watching TV or scrolling through social media, you're not making progress toward your goal. The Stoics would advise you to prioritize your long-term vision over short-term gratification. This doesn't mean you can't have fun or relax. It means you should be mindful of how you spend your time and energy, so you can focus on what truly matters to you. Finally, the Stoics taught us that pleasure is not the same as happiness. Happiness, in the Stoic sense, is a state of inner peace and contentment. It comes from living a virtuous life, from being true to yourself, and from accepting whatever life throws your way. Pleasure, on the other hand, is temporary and often dependent on external circumstances. You might feel happy when you get a promotion, but what happens if you lose your job? You might feel happy when you're with your friends, but what happens when you're alone? The Stoics believed that true happiness is independent of these external factors. It comes from cultivating a strong, resilient mind and living in alignment with your values. In conclusion, the dark side of pleasure is that it can easily become a trap. When we chase after it too much, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. We might become addicted, distracted, or dissatisfied. But by practicing Stoic principles like moderation, self-discipline, and gratitude, we can enjoy the good things in life without letting them control us. The Stoics remind us that true happiness comes from within, not from external pleasures. So the next time you're tempted to chase after something just because it feels good, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to my goals? Is this making me a better person? Is this truly making me happy? By asking these questions, you can make wiser choices and live a more fulfilling life.